Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dobbs. We haven't had a Saturday Night Live for some time, but I thought it's timely because there's something very interesting which I'm sure many of you would have heard of, maybe know a little bit. Some of you have actually had some experience, of you may actually want to know more. And today we are going to talk about Chat GPT, uh, which is a type of AI and how it can affect us as doctors. And, it's going to be, I think, something very exciting. It's going to play a very important role in healthcare. And with me today, actually, I'm very pleased to have somebody else to help me tell you more about ChatGPT. Is Dr. Kevin Lim. I'll bring him on. Hi, hi, Kevin.
Hi, hi everyone. Hi, Dr. Allen. So thanks for having me
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for being here. I've got some basic intro because I'm not sure how much everyone knows about ChatGPT. Um, so just bear with me. Just go through some very basic information. So ChatGPT is basically a type of AI. It's a machine learning tool, and it has a interesting applications in clinical practice, medical education, and so on. I'm not an expert in AI. I'm just a end user, maybe an early adopter, and I'm just here to share my experience with you. Just to show you how the thing has taken off very fast. Whereas it took Facebook about 4 years to hit 100 million users in 2 months. ChatGPT has hit 100 million users, and it's actually the number of users is really phenomenal as it's really going up very fast now. Um, what the news you may have heard about that the ChatGPT is almost as good enough to be a doctor because it has passed the United States Medical Licensing Exam or USMLE, and even the latest iteration called GPT-4 is doing even better than what ChatGPT 3.5 could do in the medical exams. So, what is it? Okay, GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So this tongue twister thing is actually basically a artificial intelligent neural network, which is used in natural language processing. So the term you sometimes come across is LLM, or it's a large language model. So I like to view it as a smart conversationalist. It's very trained to give you human-like responses to inputs or prompts. So it's capable of understanding what you input in terms of text, and it can respond to you in multiple languages, and it sounds intelligent because it's been trained on massive amounts of data. So the way it has responded, it's very human like, and I think that's what made it catch on very fast. So a lot of you always ask, "Oh, how do I get onto ChatGPT?" On the web, you can sign up for free. If you navigate to chat.openai.com, you can create a few free account and sign in there. I heard from Kevin that there is now a shorter URL, ai.com. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, you can actually log into AI.com and he will bring you
Yeah.
to this the longer
Yeah.
chat.openai.com.
So if you can't remember chat.openai.com, just go to ai.com. We'll talk more about that later. At the moment, when you get in, it's still version 3.5. They've recently launched version 4, but you can get on the wait list. Okay, if you want to get on version 4, actually, you just go to bing.com, which is Microsoft search engine. And now bing.com has got ChatGPT 4 behind it. So it combines ChatGPT together with search. There's another interesting site you might want to try out is perplexity.ai, which is It's very similar to Bing.com, but I find it's a little bit smoother, faster. But you can check it out. It's free to use. Okay, all these are free. Chat OpenAI.com, Bing.com, and Perplexity AI. Then there are also, if you open your phone, you search for ChatGPT, the phone, you get inundated with tons of apps. Most of them are not, I think all are not free because people want to, programmers need to make money. But more important is the API, which connects the apps to ChatGPT, costs money. Uh, on DOPS also, some of you may have joined our ChatGPT groups. We have a free one where we use free bots, and we have one which we created ourselves, and we have to charge a little bit because the API is not free. Okay, but if you're on DOPS, you can please check out our ChatGPT groups. Now, how just want to quickly outline how it may help us as doctors in healthcare. There are various aspects. For example, if you have difficult patients with unusual symptoms and signs, you can get diagnostic help. You can be quite clever in giving you possible differential diagnosis, for instance, or it can help you generate content useful for patient education. Clinical documentation, if you read the recent article on ChatGPT from the New England Journal of Medicine, actually they are thinking of, like, say, if you have an entire recording of your clinical encounter, and then it summarizes it and helps you document in the electronic medical records. That would save a huge amount of time, I would think. And other assistants like generating replies, making summaries, or literature review. And then in the field of medical education, the sky is the limit. We could answer, uh, you could create quizzes, and then by showing how it answers quizzes and so on, it can be a teaching scenario useful in tutorials. You can also use it like in simulations, and maybe even consider automated grading of your tests. Okay. Recently, I was asked to generate 10 MCQs on the multiple myeloma. So I cheated and asked ChatGPT to generate the 10 MCQs for me. Of course, modify lah. Don't copy. But for the teachers and the examiners, it's very, very useful. So for reasoning skills and so on, I just don't want to spend too much time. But here, you can get ChatGPT to simulate a virtual patient, and it's all in the prompt. You can tell GPT, you must tell it to imagine that ChatGPT is a patient presenting with chest pain, and I'm the doctor, and I want you to respond as a patient. So yeah, and then ChatGPT becomes an actor and then generates the text, and then it actually go on like that. So actually, you don't need simulated live patients. You could actually, in tutorials with students, you could actually, ChatGPT could be the virtual patient. So useful for teaching. So there's another one on fever. You could just play around with it. Okay, so the whole concept, I think Kevin will talk about later, is about prompting. Okay, and it's actually a field, it's a form of programming now we call prompt engineering. How to prompt it is an art. Okay, and I think this is the difficulty doctors have, because how are we going to generate the prompts for the type of response you want? And Kevin has got a very interesting solution. Okay, I talked about generating MCQs. You can try it. It's amazing. Okay, medical research, writing papers, and all that. This is a huge area. Um, okay, use it to learn medicine for not just students but doctors as well. Sometimes as good revision, yeah, and aid to research, decision making, teaching, etc. Okay, I don't think I want to go on too much. We can talk about the limitations later, but so we will talk about how we can access these tools. Chat GPT, as being a what is known as a generative AI, can help us in our daily practice. And Kevin, in our Little Dobbs tech chat group, first posted his solution. Um, you can see his name there. He's got qmet Asia, right? Okay, and so maybe you want to share with us. how what your team has done to help doctors who have sometimes no clue how to get on open AI and so on, and what your tools can help in our daily practice and using the power of Chat GPT.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Dr. Allen. So thanks for the sharing earlier. Just one question for you before I proceed.
Yes.
Is your slide prepared using ChatGPT?
Oh yes, definitely. I asked, okay, let me confess. I was asked to talk about ChatGPT. You see, there's a lot of medical education. The reason I just took some slides, I was asked by IMU to talk to them about ChatGPT in medical education. So I said, okay, no problem. And of course, I got ChatGPT to generate the outline of the slides. And not just the outline of the slide. Then I found actually there are AI applications which can generate the slides for you. So, in the past, oh, so much work I got to come up with the slides, and then also design the slides. Now there are tools which can help you generate the scripts and from there generate the slides for you together with all the images and background and all that. So life is just getting easier and easier, especially if you're a lecturer or something. Of course, the
Yeah,
students also, life is getting easier and easier for the medical students because they can use
yeah,
ChatGPT to answer the essay question. Anyway, that's another area of discussion. So it was an interesting discussion I had with the IMU about ChatGPT and medical education. I'm no longer in medical school, but I think if I was still in medical school, it's going to be good as well as bad. Okay.
yeah.
All right.
I will
Okay.
use the
Anyway,
word. Yeah, I will use the word called amplified. Actually, ChatGPT amplified everyone's ability. Those who are good, they can use ChatGPT to amplify their ability to do more things. So that's why if like you are not so good and you are very dependent on ChatGPT, the outcome is you will be more and more dependent of this kind of technology, and you are not learning much. So that is something I want to point out from. And the reason I want to ask is because I want to top up on the application in terms of the ChatGPT in healthcare. It can be used for this kind of slide. And certain people are using ChatGPT as a tools to write a research journal. Not to say everything by the ChatGPT, but as a tools to assist them in thinking out loud the outline and some of the drafting like that.
okay.
Yeah.
Be, Before we go on, we want this session to be interactive. So you guys are watching there, please shoot your questions. So you can remain anonymous if you like. We don't profess to be all experts and all knowing. If we don't know, we will ask ChatGPT to help answer. But are medical students or young doctors expected to perform better than older generation? That's me, I'm older generation and Kevin is the younger generation here. What do you think?
I I tend to classify it as those who know how to use ChatGPT tends to perform better than those who uh, I would say refuse to use ChatGPT. No, it's regardless of your age. If you like Dr. Allen, they're using ChatGPT. It is definitely is as good as anyone that out there. So Dr. Allen, if you use ChatGPT, definitely better than me because he know his field and he know what kind of questions to ask and what are the information that the ChatGPT provide are accurate. Because to be honest, ChatGPT is just in the market for 3 months to 4 months. There are some limitations. There are some hallucinations. They use this word called hallucination because sometimes the answer they give are not so accurate. So you need some specialty. That's why we call it copilot. We don't want to let this kind of tools to be patient facing so much because patient cannot digest, but doctors like specialists like Dr. Allen, they can digest. So that actually give them ability to filter out the answer provided by ChatGPT. So what do you think?
I think, as you said, it amplifies your skills and knowledge. I think it is not a replacement, but people, including doctors who know how to use GPT, can only improve their work and their output. It makes it, if not better, it will be faster. Okay, I
Yep.
think that's the good point. Of course, evil, bad actors who want to do bad. Of course, using ChatGPT, you could also do evil things like this thing. The people are writing malicious viruses with computer code using with the help of Chat GPT. I mean, things like that. You could have bad actors. On the other hand, I mean, like anything, it's a double-edged sword, so it could cut both ways. Should we ban the use of Chat GPT in schools, medical schools? I actually, on the opinion, we should not ban. We should embrace Chat GPT, but use use it with some caveats. Okay, I think I just mentioned very briefly we could use them in the tutorials, maybe as virtual patients. We could use it as an instructional tool for how to formulate differential diagnosis and so on. So as a teaching aid, I think it's quite invaluable. And then for if you are a lecturer, you're running out ideas about research and all that, you can actually get prompts and ideas from ChatGPT. Mm. Medical students, I mean, the worry is how they're going to use ChatGPT to cheat in their assignments and so on. I think there is a issue of integrity, honesty, and so on, and we have to, like all things, also even without ChatGPT, there's always that issue of plagiarism and so on. Yeah. Okay, that's another whole topic, but I think it's like, should we ban the internet in medical schools in that case? I mean, they were already looking up things in Wikipedia and all that. I mean, should we ban that? I mean, that I think is food for thought. Okay. More questions. Questions are pouring in, Kevin. So we will,
Sure.
we'll just take that. Yeah. Are there any apps that can detect or pick up an assignment manuscript done by ChatGPT? AI detectors.
Yeah, there are few AI detector. Even the Open AI came out with the AI detector. But when there is a when the technology enhancements is too in a very fast pace nowadays. So when you have this kind of AI detector, there are application there can actually bypass this kind of detector. So it will be a race. So you do a detector, then somehow people are smart enough to find out the algorithm of detector, then they come out with another tuning to the answer to make the detector unable to detect. So then the OpenAI need to, or some other party need to make another better detector. So it is a never-ending race for me at the moment. So short answer, I say is quite hard to be able to recognize the answer, whether it's a computer returns or is a human return at the moment.
Yeah. Do we going to go the path of some medical schools? I was reading in the news about some Australian schools which required the examination to be pen and paper, no
Yep.
computer, must write. It may come down to that, or the way you conduct the examination, which requires skills in not just regurgitating facts, but how you formulate the logic and so on, may be more important. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we'll put all this thing about medical schools and plagiarism and all that aside. But let's go on to Kevin's topic about how it can help doctors in our daily work and make life easier for those to get into artificial intelligence, okay, or generative artificial. There are different types of AI, but today we're talking about Chat GPT, which is what is termed as generative AI. So it is not all knowing, but it will help you generate content or generate responses to your prompts. So
Yep.
what
So
what maybe you showcase what you have. Yeah.
yeah. So basically, let me share my screen over here. So basically, I'm the active user of ChatGPT since the time it launched. So I think I started to use ChatGPT since December. So play around with ChatGPT quite a lot. Then found some limitations, and the short answer is you need to ask the right questions to be able to get the correct or the answer that you want. So it's always a tricks for other doctors or other person, even myself, to keep on asking different prompts. For example, you want to ask a medical question, all the time you need to ask the ChatGPT to start with a prompt that saying that, imagine you are a medical consultant. So I have this case. Please provide me with this kind of things, this kind of thing. Then only you type in your case history. It is a very time-consuming things and not so convenient in your day-to-day practice. And that's how I think of putting this kind of prompts and algorithm into a platform so that easier for doctors to use it in their day-to-day practice. So this is the platform that actually we created called qmet copilot. It's freely available in web browser, in applications, so you can download from the Android or iOS app. And inside there, the interface will be something like this. So for example, this is a DDX, so you can click on DDX. So you can give let's see, I give you a case scenario. So I give this case, 25 years old gentleman, no medical illness, presented with high fever, 3-day, abdominal pain, joint pain, muscle pain, 2 days. Then you submit it, then he'll give you the differential diagnosis along with some of the pitfall that you might miss. And from there, you can actually have a glance on what kind of things I've been facing. Of course, if you are very confident with the case, you do not need to use this, but this will come with handy when you are facing some of the very challenging case, very confusing case. So for this case, actually quite straightforward, is the dengue fever. So some of the things that you can put in your back of your mind is some of the pitfall of COVID-19. So we give you some of the reasoning behind. So if like you think of is dengue, you can further click on dengue. He will then create the care plan for you. So nevertheless, this is the output from this kind of large language model. Currently, I'm using ChatGPT, but moving forward, we'll be switching to whatever models that give us the best or medical related things. So Google are releasing the MedPalm. We are open to try out all these things. So for now, we are stick with the OpenAI LLM. So these are the things that you can do with this. So other case like 6 months old infant brought in with clinics, so persistent vomiting. Let's say you are managing adult, so you're not so familiar with PITS. So PITS case you put in, it will give you a very accurate probability diagnosis, pitfall as well. So let's say like this is paralytic stenosis, then we click inside, then we give you this care plan. So this is one of the main things I use myself quite often because I've been consulted by quite a lot of people from geriatric case to pediatric, which is my main specialty I can answer. But geriatric, adult, I'm not so familiar. I always use this as my reference so that I can actually think more comprehensive and give a better and safer management from there. So another one is this one is Ask Hippocrates. So this is basically a chatbot like ChatGPT, but it's a prompt. We prompt it to be medical orientated. So for example, you can ask, who are you? He will answer you accordingly, saying that he is the clinical AI assistant. So you can ask, like in the demo video, I asked, what is a moya moya, moya moya? Not catchy, so I just using the same things behind. So from there, he'll give you the answer on the moya moya disease. And he actually remember what you asked before. So you can continue to ask. So it's like, what is moya moya? Then how to diagnose? You can continue this kind of conversation from there. So this is a conversational chatbot, which is medical orientated. So you can play around with this kind of Ask Hippocrates. Then of course we have this kind of medications. Medications one, you can ask anything about medication. If you want to include the drug information database, you just tick this one, then you give you the medication from there. Ask CPG is something new that we actually think will be helpful for doctors also. So we are in the midst of including the entire Malaysian CPG into this platform so that you can actually ask and chat with the CPG. For now, we are actually trying with this one. So one of the CPG inside, so you can actually ask anything about this CPG. So for example, let me ask, so what are the legal implications of withholding a withdrawal of life support? Then we ask the CPG. Then you give you the answer based on the understanding of the CPG content from there. So you can continue to ask the following questions. So in the next phase, we open up to allow the user to upload their research paper. So when you have a latest research paper, like let's say you have a medical England journal, so you can upload the journal and then you can read from there as well. Quiz will be coming soon. Will allow the user to do MCQ questions based on your medical student level or MRCP level. So you have difficulty for you to choose. Then you can do your MCQ over here. This is the things that ChatGPT basically been actively using for healthcare industry. Like you can ask the ChatGPT to help you to write referral letter, ask to write a dynamic consent. So communication is something like breaking a bad news. So for example, you can ask the GPT to help you to write a counseling sessions template, so you can actually learn if like patient is ALL, then how should I advise, what kind of things from there. So of course, we are in the beta, so that's why I need more doctors, more doctors to come in to try, and you can give us feedback. So all the answer down there, you can actually give us feedback from there, so we can actually learn from you and what are your suggestions, so we can improve the model further from there.
Okay, we maybe we take a break because there's a couple of questions from the viewers. Of course, Dr. Santil has asked how can ChatGPT help with medically managing patients and work. I think what Kevin has just shown is some examples of how you can configure the system using ChatGPT at the back end to help not just diagnose, help formulate care plans, and also generate content for you, be it reply referrals and so on, in an easy manner. Without otherwise, you have to think of the prompts yourself. If you go to openai.com in the chat GPT chat.openai, you have to prompt it properly. Otherwise, you won't get the response which you desire. Okay, so the other question is Dr. Louis asks, is Chat GPT connected to the internet or is it a closed circuit in inverted commas? Maybe you want to answer him, Kevin?
So if you talk about ChatGPT's this product itself, is actually the database is until September 2021. So basically, he do not know anything that is happening after that. But then there is a ChatGPT, but actually there are other models like GPT-4 that actually been plugging into Bing, which if you go to Bing.com, that Bing.com can actually access to internet. So it's if you know AI, this is something quite crazy, quite crazy in a way. So basically, the AI now have access to internet, but that is not ChatGPT. That is other in another form called Bing.com or Perplexity.ai.
Yeah, so ChatGPT, at least 3.5, was trained on large databases until about 2021. So you shouldn't, a lot of people view it like know it all. It is not a knowledge module, it's actually a language module. So actually, the trainers train it to process language, process text, and then output text in a very human-like manner. Is actually basically trying to formulate an answer which it thinks is best appropriate to your prompt. And this is where, if its knowledge is limited, it can start to hallucinate, in inverted commas. Hallucinate meaning it starts to imagine answers which are a bit crazy or completely imaginary. And we've done this before when we've asked ChatGPT to help reply to an insurance company to justify the use of drug ABC, for instance, and then state references which support the use. And actually, it comes out with a very convincing letter, and then came out with a 4 or 5 references. When you check the references, they actually don't exist. So it imagined or hallucinated all these answers. So you really have to fact check, because it doesn't, when it cannot come up with a real answer, it can actually come up with something which it thinks you want, and it comes up with a very convincing generated text, but it may not be factually correct. So that's what it is. It's a language model. It is not a knowledge model. What it does is just tells you things which you have prompted it to respond with. Bing.com is different because it uses ChatGPT 4 and it combines with an internet search. So it can give you the latest references, and they're quite accurate. You can try yourself, but you have to get to be on the new Bing. I think they're rolling it out. I think they more or less roll out to many people now. I think most people should get the latest Bing. The reason why this is the reason why Microsoft invested 20 billion in OpenAI is to beat Google in the game. You know, when you Google, you get a whole bunch of links, and then you got to check out and find out which one it is. But now, if you instead of Googling, you Bing search, and you come out with a narrative as an answer and the relevant links, and then you can converse with it and interrogate the search deeper and deeper, which is actually a more natural way than just Googling and then come out with links. You come out with a, a nuanced answer. So, so I think Perplexity is very similar as well, which is so you can check out both of them, Bing.com or Perplexity.ai. How may people find your? Maybe it wasn't so clear, Kevin. What's the link to your
Okay.
qmet copilot? I will
You,
put it here. Maybe I'll type it down.
you can type qmet.ai.
qmet.ai.
Yeah.
I'll put it as a banner.
Thanks.
qmet.ai. Is that correct? Okay.
Yep. Correct.
All right. So you can go there. They need to sign up to be users to have an
Yep.
account. Okay. So that's AI made easy for doctors.
Yep.
I will show the screen. Yeah. So if you go to qmet.ai, this is what you see. Okay. Then you sign up, and then you can test out what those things which Kevin said showed just now. We will go on. There are some more questions. Do you think we can take them before we proceed? Yeah.
Sure.
There was a question about uploading CBG and medical journals. I think this is something about open AI. Like all the AIs, generative AIs out there, they need some form of training. And there was a bit of context, a bit of issues with this. You know, Basically, you can now also train it. I think what you've done is it to get the AI to train on the CPGs, which
Yep.
are public domain anyway for Malaysian CPGs you can download. And then basically your knowledge base now contains the CPGs. And
Yep.
the AI as a language module can we can
Comprehends.
answer your questions in a more human-like fashion based on the CBG. So basically, you're querying it, and it's summarizing or giving you some content based on your query and its understanding of the CBG. So like anything, we in healthcare, I think generally you don't want to upload any sensitive data, especially patient data or any private things. So even there was a lot of controversy about some companies using ChatGPT, and their employees didn't know they uploaded private and confidential company data into ChatGPT until it was too late. When it comes to copyrighted stuff, also we should be mindful, of course. Um, there's now some lawsuit with some of these image generating AI because they train the AI on a lot of art, a lot of pictures, and so that people were saying, "Oh, that's my copyrighted work." But it was just training. It wasn't actually. They're not actually copying. So that's another issue for the courts to decide.
Yep.
So it's an area we have to be mindful, of course. There was a question: is ChatGPT able to interpret ECG, X-ray, CT, MRI, and provide a comprehensive report?
I take this answer. I take these questions. So Chat GPT is a large language model. So it process text-based information. So they cannot run to interpret ECG or X-ray. So that one is called visual or image recognizing model. So there is a different neural network to do this kind of image categorizations and processing from there. So ChatGPT short answer, ChatGPT cannot interpret ECG, X-ray, CT, MRI, all these things. So if for us, we actually put in our pipeline, we want to make these tools easy for doctors to use by taking a picture of the ECG or X-ray, then it give you the report from there. But we are using a different algorithm or different technology that is called FM, feature matching, which is pattern recognition actually. So which is quite different from the one ChatGPT using the LM model as the foundations.
Yeah. But mind you, we are only at ChatGPT 3.5.
Yep.
So can you imagine ChatGPT 4? I've applied to be in the wait. I'm still in the waiting list. I haven't got my feet wet in ChatGPT 4, but ChatGPT 4 is supposed to be multimodal. So it's beyond text. I think for the first time you can input some images and it can recognize the image content, but I do not know how well it works. But that's four. Can you imagine what Chat GPT 5, 6, and 7? You're gonna get
Yeah.
more and more powerful. So in future, and then there's the uh, Google and IBM have come up with a more medically orientated AI
Yep.
called MedPalm. Is it Palm E
Map
or
pump,
MedPalm?
map pump.
Palm E. Yeah. So it's if the database is trained on is purely medical, can you imagine how much more powerful and specific? Right now, ChatGPT is a general a- generative AI. It's not trained specifically to be medical yet. It can pass the USMLE. Can you imagine? Uh, and that is amazing. Okay,
Map pump 2 just announced they passed USMLE for the score of 85%.
can you imagine?
Yeah.
When your time. I don't know about your time, but my time, our MCQs in medical school is true, false, true, false. If you get correct, it's one. If you get wrong, it's minus one.
Yep.
Those are the type MCQs we had. So one of our professors who used to scold us and said, "You fellas are not worse than monkeys. How do you all get a minus score?" Minus score. Because if a monkey sits the test and guess also, by chance it should be zero. Some of us got minus score. But I think ChatGPT would surely beat us at the MCQs. Yeah. Right. So if I use ChatGPT in my daily practice, should I document in the patient's case note that ChatGPT was used? Okay. What do you think?
It depends on how you use it and the extent of you using it, because nevertheless you are not input directly from ChatGPT. ChatGPT is just giving you as a thought process, a reference. I mean, I'm referring to the differential diagnosis. If you use ChatGPT to give you differential diagnosis to make you think more comprehensive in terms of all the differential, I think you do not need to make ChatGPT as your citations, because you are using your own thought process to process all the informations. But I do see people nowadays putting ChatGPT as co-author. If you use ChatGPT to co-author books, there are quite a few books that publish on Amazon. They're written there. I co-author the books with ChatGPT. I mean GPT-4 itself. They mentions.
Yeah. I think not so much for your clinical work because your clinical work, you're using a lot of tools. You might even use google.com. If let's say you're Googling some rare disease or something and you just want some quick revision or some reference on the web. We don't often mention that in your case notes. I Google this or I Google that or I chat GPT this or that. I think answer probably no. Lah. We don't document that we use chat GPT. That's why we don't document that you use Google or whatever tool. It's just a tool. But ultimately your output in your case notes is yours. And you're responsible for that. But when it comes to medical literature, some publication houses have explicitly stated you should not put ChatGPT as a co-author. Uh, and I think increasingly that will be the case. what you can do is put in reference it as something you use. So it's in your footnote or reference that you use ChatGPT to generate some of the content. Yeah. Okay. Do you think ChatGPT can replace doctors in the future?
Uh, of course,
What do
in
you
the
think?
short future, definitely no. It definitely will not replace doctors in the near future. Um, it can be a tool for you to offer better patient care, but for me, not at the moment that you can replace the doctors. Doctors do more than just giving informations. You need to do counseling. You need to have the human touch. Of course, you have the how to say, the hands-on thing, physical dimensions, the diagnosis, the management, the surgery. Yeah.
I mean, ChatGPT could play a role in certain aspects of medicine. For example, it could be used in triaging. Okay, maybe they are the first thing which a patient sees is a robot, which before you get to see the patient, we see the doctor. Maybe there's some triaging, and then assign you to the doctor to be further evaluated. I mean, at the moment, ChatGPT has no empathy. It doesn't have that, as you say, the human touch and so on. So, it can be very knowledgeable and it can respond in a very human way, but it still doesn't have the ability to replace a human. But perhaps let me say this, I think, in my opinion, in the near future at least, I think it's going to be a very essential tool which all doctors need to know how to use and use effectively. And the doctor who knows how to use ChatGPT will replace the doctor who doesn't.
Yeah.
I think that's what I feel. Just like, you know, you don't know how to use a computer this age, I think, the doctor who knows how to use a computer will replace one who doesn't, because computers are becoming so essential. The internet is so essential. Just like COVID taught us how essential scanning a QR code is. And then 3 years ago, I think many people didn't know anything about QR codes and things like that. I think technology has gone up many fold in the last few years about telemedicine and now generative AI. So yeah, I think all these are tools which, if you learn how to use and empower yourself, you'll be more equipped than the doctor who does not. Of course, all this is just part of being a doctor. It's just the technological aspect. It's still the human touch and the other things which are so important. Okay, it's not the doctor is not a robot. So I think like AI can be very clever at picking up uh, screening for breast cancer, or scanning x-rays and so on. These are already in place. You got specific AI tools for these, but they're not going to replace the radiologist, but it's just going to make the radiologist work more efficient. And I think the radiologist who knows how to use this tool will be better off than the one who doesn't.
Yep. Um,
What do you think will happen to those doctors when the internet is down for 24 hours? No, lah, internet not down for 24 hours. Make sure you have backup data plan.
yeah.
Can you provide examples of successful AI integration in healthcare and the impact it has on patient care? Question generated by ChatGPT.
There is a Okay, I can take this. There is a company, I forget in which country, it is in Europe. They implement AI into teleconsultations. So in teleconsultations, normally after the teleconsultations or in the midst of teleconsultations, the doctors need to write down the whole conversations, and then based on the categories, HOPI, what are the investigation, what are the finding, what are the management from there. So there is a company who built a plugin for the teleconsultations where real time, the teleconsultation can capture all the conversations and categorize into a very proper paragraph. So by the end of teleconsultations, the doctors will have the case note ready. So that is one of the things that I think is quite meaningful and convenience, and definitely improve the efficiency for the doctors to run a teleconsultation platform. Dr. Allen,
Yeah,
I got one question for you. Last time,
okay.
last time you have patients coming to you saying that I look from the internet, Google told me I have this cancer, I have that cancer. Do you nowadays having more patient coming to you telling you that I asked ChatGPT instead of Google, they'll tell you, they quote from ChatGPT. ChatGPT told me is this symptom, is this diagnosis, this kind of things, and how you deal with it.
Okay. Mm. For those of you in DOPS, you know that we had this mug, this cup, which says, please do not confuse your Google search with my medical degree. And my patients actually find it very funny. So usually they come, and then when I'm drinking my coffee in the clinic, and they say that they want, some even want to take a picture of it. I haven't had to replace it with, please do not confuse your Chat GPT search with my medical degree yet. Uh, I think it hasn't reached that uh, threshold where it's replaced Google search in Malaysia anyway. But it's coming. I think patients will be self-diagnosing, self-treating, and things like that. It's inevitable, and then you just like Google search. I think we as doctors better learn how to use this tool as well, if not better than the patient. So
Yep.
we have to know the limitations as well as the strengths of whatever platform. Maybe I'll just share some aspects of limitations which we didn't talk about yet. So there is actually a limited scope to its knowledge because the training database we talked about, at least for ChatGPT 3.5, was until sometime in 2021. So, if you query ChatGPT 3.5, when did Queen Elizabeth die? And it will reply something like, Queen Elizabeth is still alive as of April 2021 or something like that. So it does not know. And it cannot connect to the internet to search for updated information. So that large language model was trained in that. Even though it's very huge, the database is until only 2021. So there are gaps in its understanding. And also the way it was trained, there may be potential biases in the way it can respond. And if it doesn't know what the facts are, and in trying to generate what it thinks is the appropriate response, it can imagine answers and it can hallucinate. So be mindful. So we talked about the ChatGPT giving uh, totally imaginary references to the report you want to write. So you have to fact check it. Okay. So we must always evaluate the quality and reliability. Do not take it at face value, something which we have to learn at this point in time until maybe we have more connected chat GPTs like Bing.com and Perplexity.ai, which will make our life a little bit easier.
Yeah. For those
Uh,
who just want to add on a bit, Dr. Emma,
yeah. Mm.
for for those who subscribe for ChatGPT Plus, ChatGPT actually free, but they offer a paying versions called ChatGPT Plus. It allow you to use GPT-4 there, and I tried it on ChatGPT 4. Quite a lot of issue that we face in ChatGPT 3.5, like the hallucination issue, the reference are just fact reference. All these issues have been solved. I think most of the issue have been solved in ChatGPT 4 versions. So that's something just food for thought, everyone.
Okay. You're fortunate. I'm still in the waiting list. Haven't got to ChatGPT 4 yet. When I get it, I will share maybe in another session.
Sure.
We also talked briefly earlier about privacy, security, and especially we are dealing with healthcare data, I think, which is sensitive, and we need to be mindful and we need to comply with the PDPA. So we shouldn't be uploading patient names and so on to ChatGPT. We talked about accuracy and bias, and yeah, it can end up with incorrect diagnosis, incorrect treatment recommendation, and there's always the potential for harm. So it's you as a doctor, you're using a tool, but you must evaluate it and you have to form your own conclusion. Is it correct or not? And you have to always cross reference and cross check. Okay, I think that's never understated. Okay, so we can say it's a language model. It can help with medical practice, education, research. It has its limitations. We need to be mindful of ethical concerns, especially for medical schools, and we're talking about plagiarism and so on. But I can just say it's the beginning. Okay. So I'm sorry to have interrupted, Kevin, your presentation on the your qmet co-pilot. You have other things to share on the qmet co-pilot? Maybe we can go back to that.
No, no issue, no issue. I
No
think
issue. Yeah,
I have.
sorry. For those you don't know, we mentioned earlier, it's qmet.ai. I like very short URLs. So thank you. Maybe I should go and look at other AI domains I can purchase before they're bought up. qmet.ai. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is some of the things that we have rolled out to the public. Different you can actually use this platform to chat with anything that you have queries for in terms of your clinical practice. What is the latest management of CKD, etc. And in terms of the tools you can actually use for differential analysis generations, care plan generation, medications, inquiries, ask CPG. Upcoming one is a quiz, and then the writer one you can actually use it to generate quite a lot of medical content from there. So if you have something in your mind that you think is interesting to put in here, we welcome your feedback. You can put in your feedback over here, and we can build together for it. And of course, AI visions is something we are actually working on. For now, still tuning the accuracy for X-ray. Once we're ready, we'll roll out to the public as well. X-ray, ECG, dermatology, something we focus on. Playground is something for fun. We want to help you to generate your AI portrait so that you can see a lot of people now changing their portrait to Dr. Allen's Facebook portrait. You can go see. So it's an AI generated portrait. So we want to have this kind of tools for your doctors professional. So these are things we are still in development. So I think that's all for my sharing. You can just go have a try and let us know anything that you find from the platform.
Okay. So there's hang on, we'll keep to that shared screen. So maybe we can use it to demonstrate how powerful
Yep.
using ChatGPT in our daily work. So we like to elaborate how ChatGPT might be superior to Google search. Okay, let's try a difficult case which I came across some time ago. Okay,
Yep.
so we have a six. We go to the diagnostic one. AI
Yep.
assist. All right, 68-year-old woman who comes in with weight loss, asthma, foot drop, eosinophilia. So that's the salient facts. Okay, let's put it in Google search. 68-year-old woman, weight loss, uh,
Yeah.
asthma, foot drop.
This one I
And,
put it here.
sorry. Okay.
So
Right.
Google, yeah,
Yeah.
got
Well, you just get lots of links, but how do you know which one it is? You don't have a good summary. Okay. And okay, so the first differential diagnosis is the correct one actually, which is Church-Strauss syndrome. Well done, ChatGPT. Compared to Google, yeah, at least to give it credit, Google did mention um,
this one. Yeah.
Church-Strauss somewhere in the first page. I think still in the first page. But you have to go through link by link, and it doesn't give you a nuanced answer like this. Yeah, which would you prefer anyway? if you use bing.com, so the answer is they will give you like this: probable diagnosis are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they give you references because bing.com uses ChatGPT 4 with internet search. So I think encourage those of you who do want to just do without anything instead of Google, you try bing.com and see. All right, and there is a chat button there. You ask your question, go to the chat part, and look at the responses and compare with Google, and then you formulate your own conclusion. Which would you choose? I suspect many of you will be like me. Yeah, I do less Google search these days than Bing. Okay, just try. Yeah. But ChatGPT might just provide information without a source. So it depends on what ChatGPT you use. So I would think use those with internet search capabilities. So Bing.com or Perplexity.ai are two free ones you can use if you want to have accurate links to fact check. Okay. But
I
as a quick um, analysis of whatever problem you throw at it, and it can just throw back at you very quickly some solutions. I think it's a very useful tool. But of course, you still have to fact check, but there are different ways of fact checking. Okay. Mm.
just want to add on. We will be putting the reference for this diagnosis and the care plan in our upcoming updates when we manage to put in the GPT-4 plugin inside. So for now, I do not have the reference because I think the reference is not so accurate at the moment. But once we have a better LM model, we can actually put in the reference inside.
Okay. We, any other aspects of qmet copilot? What is the playground? Can you tweak it just like the OpenAI playground?
Uh, that is
OpenAI's
too
playground
technical.
allows you. Ah,
This one is more fun. So putting some of the not so medical related module inside this playground for doctors to play with generative AI. So they can use this playground to generate AI portrait, to generate some this one is fortune teller things are still doing some experiment from there. So playground basically for us is non-medical, not so medical related module that we put in here for doctors
okay,
to play.
right, excellent. So I think this is a work in progress, right? So we really
Yeah.
got quite a lot there. I'm very impressed, Kevin. So great work. I think for those, you don't even need to sign up with a ChatGPT account, to use it. So the tools are there which are make life easier because the prompts are already customized for you. I think, but if you really want to explore, you just go to uh,
AI.
chat.openai.com, sign up, do it, and learn how to prompt. If you can, that will be a powerful tool. Uh, But also, if you want a connected ChatGPT with search, then you have to use currently bing.com or perplexity.ai. Okay, of course, there will be others coming in. And then when the medically specific uh, language modules come out, like the one from Google and IBM, I think that would be another thing to check out and watch out for. Steve Austin. Of course, I know who Steve Austin is. Hi, Steve. I won't reveal your name, but that's not really Steve Austin. But suggest text to speech function helping laymen to produce difficult medical words. Yeah. I mean, I presume you mean within qmet Copilot.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah.
I think I can put in two. One is speech to text means like the doctors can actually using the voice to input the text, and the other one is like for the text to become speech. So that for example, just now this differential diagnosis is quite difficult to pronounce, Strauss syndrome. So
Yeah. The other thing, you mustn't forget that ChatGPT is multilingual.
Mm.
So you can ask it to, you can talk to it in Malay, Chinese, Tamil, or whatever. It will reply to you in that language. So to get text to speech, there are specific tools for this. But if you use Bing.com and you talk to it will reply back to you in audio. So, in fact, the other day I showed a colleague of mine, he was so fascinated. He starts talking and then talking politics to Bing.com and so on. So it was very fascinating to see how he was fascinated about this new toy. I suppose it's also very useful. You're very lonely and no one to talk to. So you could use go to Bing.com. You can download Bing as an app on your phone. So you're very lonely, you can talk to it. Just like in the past, people used to talk to Siri or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is in a more intelligent manner. Uh, yeah. So yes, yeah, you're right. Bing has speech to text, correct. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? We've hit about an hour now. I think we've taken up too much of everyone's time, especially Kevin. I think you've been great to be here today and showcase what qmet Copilot has to offer. So if you want to check it out, go to qmet.ai. Um, Free to use at the moment. I
Yep.
don't know what the model is. Everything has a price, but it's difficult because actually I can imagine it costs money to set up and run, and the APIs are not free, so they will. Um, you may have some, when we started off the bot initially, the first 3 months was free. Then after that, they started charging really. Yeah, I mean, open AI has to generate some income. It cannot be forever be dependent on the
Microsoft.
um, yeah, sponsorship or whatever investors money. There has to be a self-sustaining. I think the founders of OpenAI just I can't remember how much they had to burn every month just to run OpenAI.com.
Yep.
Because it's a huge amount of money. So they have to find some way to monetize. So first thing which came out was ChatGPT Plus, which puts you ahead of the others. Sometimes you go to chat.openai.com and then it's congested. The site is down, or whereas ChatGPT Plus is supposed to give you more reliable connectivity. And also access to newer features and so on, and then faster access to ChatGPT 4, okay,
Yep.
and things like that. So I think everything has a cost, so we will have to bear in mind that I don't know how the landscape is going to change, but it's going to be very competitive because Google is going to, as you say, the empire will strike back. I think they didn't do too well with Bard in the when they showcase it, but they will come back, and it'll be interesting. I think we have to watch the space. I think it's very interesting to see how all the big tech companies going to compete in the AI space, and I think it's the era of AI. We mustn't dismiss it, and I think we have to be mindful of the weaknesses and the problems it has. I think it's just something very new, but it's going to be a powerful tool for us as doctors to use. So do not miss it out. So I'm so happy that Buatan, Malaysia, we have something to help our doctors, and it's very very well designed, and I think it's worth to check out if you are a doctor. Yeah. So one last comment, I think it's from Mihun about AI vision. A lot of skin cases we encounter daily practice, and sometimes we can encounter check back our radiologist friends report. Yeah, I think there is a app called ISA or something like that on your phone, which can recognize skin lesions and query, and then give you some possible differential. That's a very specialized form of AI for dermatology diagnosis, already been available for some time. And I know there's a company which is working with the Qualitas clinics, I believe, to look at
Um,
the chest X-rays
code,
and
yeah.
screen them,
Code.ai.
and
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. Anyway, I don't know the details, but it's already all these things are happening really. Some may succeed, some may not. We don't know. But AI is here to stay. And some people are saying, "Oh no, we should not. We should stop AI. We should stop developing. They're going to take over the world, and it's going to become like the movies where they have self-awareness and they'll destroy mankind." No, I think the genie is out of the bottle. It's too late.
Mm.
And the only thing way is to learn how to control it. I think learn how to put some safety measures, safeguards, some rules in place, and so on. As you say, any tool can be used for good and it can be used for bad. Let's hope the good outweighs the bad. I think it goes the same for healthcare. Yeah.
Yeah, very well
Any
said.
last words, Kevin? Anywhere else where else can they find you other than in QMet?
They can find me. I just join. Just add me as your Facebook. I was in social media, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can chat with me. I think Mi Hun. I know Mi
Mm,
Hun. So Mi Hun is one of my friends. Yeah.
mm. Okay. So anyway, thank you all for joining us tonight, and I think we have exceeded our time. And thank you once for all your participation, interesting questions. So if we want to, we can always have another session later with there are new developments. But get your feet wet. At least go to start using Bing rather than Google search and get a different experience. And Perplexity.ai worth it. They just come up with the app as well. So if for those of you who don't like to go to the web, there's also a Perplexity.ai app, and you don't have to sign in. I think you can just use it like that. And but if you sign in, I think you remember all your previous queries. So very, very interesting tools to use. And of course, go to qmet.ai, and there's an app now out which I've downloaded today, and I've signed up and to use. Sometimes it's just so much easier to use an app than go to the web, especially when you're on mobile. Yeah. So check it out. And I'm certainly going to use it in my daily work as well. So thanks to Kevin and team at the QMet for giving us this wonderful tool. And thank you all again. So we're going to say end the broadcast and say good night to you all. Have a good weekend. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Alan.